So, okay, the next update is the update that we know that so many of you, and well, so many of us as well, has been wanting for such a long time. It's the Caves and Cliffs update.
It must feel amazing to be able to tell everyone that.
Seriously, like, I'm so excited about this. I mean, even before I joined Mojang, I was always thinking about, like, when is the cave update gonna come? And this is it, but it's also got the cliffs as well. It's got the mountains. Like, this is such a big update, and I'm so excited.
To fulfill this pillar is that we have added new cave biomes, and one of them is the lush caves.
Beautiful. It doesn't feel cave-like.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to make sure that, of course, in Minecraft, all the original caves, you know, they're pretty much the same. There's not much variation in terms of vegetation or different features inside of it. So for this, we wanted something which is a bit more like light and lush and actually has vegetation. And I mean, I think it looks amazing.
It's gorgeous. What was the inspiration behind it?
So we were thinking about, okay, so how should it feel when you are in a lush cave? And we wanted to be like, so you feel like very tiny inside like a big garden or big forest. So like when you look up, it's actually like vegetation above you, it's vegetation around you. And one source of inspiration we had is actually a Swedish painter called Jon Bauer. Because in his paintings, it's always, or often at least, like a tiny character, and then it's like huge forest, and you see like the bottom of the trees because the vegetation is like so big compared to the character.
You're adding so many new plants in the lush caves.
Yes, so I don't know if you saw, but there was this new tree that was actually above on the overworld. And this is called an azalea tree. So it's a unique type of tree that it'll be easy. Will actually make you fall through. However, after a few seconds, it'll come back up. So it's kind of this like platforming block that allows you to just, you know, continue platforming over and over again, which I hope is really exciting for, you know, content creators making maps.
Yeah, you can build like your own platforming levels, and then they will repair themselves. That's kind of neat. It's
Yeah, so as you can see here, I mean, this is drastically different to what caves used to look like. And there's definitely still the old style of caves, but we wanted to make sure that there was much more variety in the sort of caves and the shapes and the sizes you could get. And even here, you can see that there's some water underground.
Yes, so we actually added something we call local water levels. So in one cave might find like a cave lake, and another cave might not have that one. And this also means that we get naturally generated waterfalls, which is so pretty. And it also kind of gives like new ways to traverse the underground. You can actually go cave rafting.
Yeah, so you'll see in a bit that our player here will actually use a boat to raft. And that is just such an exciting opportunity to be able to traverse the caves in a very different way than you used to.
Yeah, we were playtesting, and then one of the devs like, look at this, it's so fun, and all of us just started to go with the boat on the waterfall. It was a lot of fun.
So another thing to note here is that you could see that a lot of the ores were actually glowing. This is just for preview purposes. Ores aren't going to glow now. It's just that the caves tend to be quite dark, and we want to make sure that players can see the shape.
Nice, and you have another new cave biome to show us.
Yes, so we have the Dripstone Caves biome. And whenever I think about the idea of a cave update, the image of stalagmites and stalactites comes into my head. But adding these are pretty difficult. You know, it's a very unique shape that Minecraft isn't really accustomed to. But I think the way that the artist put it into Minecraft works quite well. And of course, there's some mechanics surrounding this. So you can see that someone destroyed the block up the top, and so the dripstone fell down. And also, unfortunately for this zombie here, if you fall on these dripstones, you will get hurt.
Poor zombie.
There's another interesting mechanic in the dripstone caves.
Yes, so maybe you saw in the video that, like, from the stalactites, you could see that it was like dripping water. So actually, if you put a cauldron under a stalactite, it will fill up with water. So it's renewable water.
And how do you remember which is stalactites and stalagmites?
Well, that's a very good question. It has been very tricky to remember that, but I think
this update for the sort of redstone engineers out there.
Yes, so we've actually been thinking about this redstone block that lives in the deep dark, a new biome at the deepest depths of the world. We're not going to talk about this biome too much today, but we are going to show some of the blocks and maybe later a mob that comes from it. So if we look at the video, we can actually see that it's basically this growth, and this is called the skulk blocks. And one of the blocks is called the skulk sensor. This is the new redstone block. As you can see, when you place or destroy a block, or if you have footsteps, it'll actually detect the vibrations around and then emit a redstone signal. So this is going to be very interesting for redstone players. We even have a mechanic around it where you can actually use wool with wool occlusion to essentially prevent signals from being able to get into the skulk sensor. So let's take a look at that now. And as you can see here, I walked next to the skulk sensor, and it's actually kind of doing an infinite loop where the piston is causing a vibration, and then it's activating the skulk sensor and going over and over again. But here, I've actually put a wool block in between the piston, which prevents the signal from going to the skulk sensor. This can allow you to even do sort of directional skulk sensors where you can put wool blocks on each side and only allow it to detect vibrations in front of it. And vibrations can be so many different things. You know, it can be a snowball hit, it could be an arrow, it could be footsteps, it could be blocks, anything.
so cool.
Yeah.
And another thing, we had a bit of a happy accident with this because we realized that we get wireless redstone thanks to the skulk sensor.
Yes.
So, and we didn't even plan to add it, but then when we started playtesting, we're like, wait, we got wireless redstone, and that's so exciting. And well, you can just build so many cool things with that. It's gonna be exciting to see what the community will build.
Yeah, you're really looking for community feedback to make sure this feels great for everyone.
Absolutely. I think because this is such a unique mechanic, we really want to make sure that we get it right. And we love the redstone community, and we want to make sure that we do it right. So any feedback you have, any ideas, send it to us, and we will work with you to make this the best block that it can be.
And now, we said there's another mob coming later, but I think it's time for a new mob coming to the Caves and Cliffs update.
It is. And this is a very scary mob. And it lives in the deepest of the underground, in the deep dark. And this is a very dark place. And the cool thing is that this mob is very well adapted to the environment. So it can't see anything. So it's the first blind mob in Minecraft. And that's very interesting because it gives such interesting mechanics. So instead, it will react to vibrations, just like the skulk sensor block. So, if you aren't very careful when you walk around in the deep dark, you might upset that mob.
Yeah, with this mob, we really wanted to make sure that we kind of recaptured that feeling of the first night of Minecraft. And we can often forget that Minecraft can be a pretty scary game. So we wanted to make sure that we kind of go back to that. I mean, caves can be scary, they're dark. And all I'm going to say is that when you go into the deep dark, I want to make sure that you're very quiet and watch closely for the warden.
What did we just see?
It's a very different mob. I'm really excited for this because not only is it trying to be scary, it's, we had to keep a balance to it. It was very challenging to design a mob like this. Another thing that's really important to note is in that video, I was wearing full netherite armor, so it's very powerful. You definitely want to watch out. Yeah.
Which I think also is such an interesting gameplay, because like if you want to, you can avoid it, but then you need to really be careful, like sneak all the time to not make like any kind of movement that it will detect. But that's a lot of fun, and it's like feels scary, but in the good way.
And you wanted to kind of take everyone back to that first night experience with the Warden.
Absolutely. I mean, I had such an amazing experience when I first played Minecraft. Like, it was terrifying listening to zombies underneath my house and in the caves, and hopefully we can bring that back to players, but 10 years later.
Yeah. But that would be just amazing, because you hear so many lovely first night stories. It's such a big thing, and I mean, I'm also very fond of my first night in Minecraft, so we hope to give that experience again.